Hello and welcome back to whatever this is. I mean, I'm sort of halfway in between just being Nathaniel Whitto, which I think is the current title of this YouTube channel, and DJ Camel, which is the old name. So this is a review of some films, and I'm obviously myself. I haven't got the beanie hat, but I've got the sunglasses, so it's half and half. This is probably a cop out, but does it really matter? I don't really think it matters. So, I mean, the last episodes I did were Dead Reckoning, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, although it's not called Part 1 anymore. Review of that was a long time ago. There are probably 3 films I'd like to talk about. So I'll probably just talk about 3 films. Some of them came out, well, I guess 2 months ago. One of them's on digital, one of them is very close to being out on DVD and digital, and then one I saw yesterday. So, I'll do a review of this, which will be Dune Part 2. So, Denis Villeneuve, Canadian slash French, was he just Canadian? French-speaking director of Arrival, Blade Runner 2049, Prisoners, Sicario, which is the one I always forget about because he's one of the best sci-fi filmmakers ever, and the best today, I think, pretty solid to say that. And of course, director of Dune Part 1. Now, I've been reading the book, I've been listening to the audiobook of Dune, 1965 classic by Frank Herbert, which is great, and sort of cautionary tale, because, you think about, Dune, it was sort of sold as like the next Star Wars. It's not as exciting as that, but it's much more philosophical and about imperialism and religion, religious sort of leaders, and whether we should trust them or not, which I feel like the first part is much more imperialism, and you think, Timothy Chalamet as Paul, sort of the part of this imperial family that is betrayed, and then he has to, at the end of the first film, which we thought was just going to be the whole book, but no, actually, Part 1, which was incredible. That was Dune Part 1, did really well during COVID, got a few Oscar nominations, not for the biggest ones, but this will get lots of nominations. Sort of a coming of age story, and this one, much better than the first, and I already thought the first was great, but I hadn't seen it since it came out in 2021. I rewatched it, that was good, but, I'm very excited to see what happens in the sort of bigger second part, which is much more expansive. You see some more planets. You see the Emperor at the sort of top of it, played by Christopher Walken. Quickly out of the way, that's pretty much the only bit of the film I don't like. Christopher Walken is Christopher Walken, a bit of a controversial figure nowadays, and his performance as the Emperor is not particularly exciting compared to all the other great performances. I mean, this story is a big, expensive sci-fi epic on Arrakis, a sort of sand planet, but it's like a film I'm going to talk about in a little while. It's a love story between Paul, Timothy Chalamet, and Chani, who's sort of one of the Arrakis, what would you call them, natives? They are the Fremen. Of course, Javier Bardem is one of them as well. He's great. I mean, the whole cast is great, but him and Zendaya as Chani, their chemistry, leads the film, and that really works because I think, unlike many other blockbusters, this hits you on an emotional level and a philosophical level that most don't. So yeah, this film, much better than the first. It's incredible. It's, Denis Villeneuve is one of the best sci-fi directors ever, and this, is the 4th great sci-fi movie he's made. Arrival was great. Blade Runner 2049, probably better than Dune Part 2, maybe, or just about the same. Part 1, great. This is much better. It's not really a blockbuster. There are action scenes, there's spectacle, which is incredibly well done, but very short. There are some short bursts. But there's more to just blockbusters than action and fights. The spectacle, the grand scope of this sci-fi story, even if it's not something exciting happening on screen, is incredible. The sort of arc Paul has, and how Timothy Chalamet's gone from sort of feeble kid that even Jason Momoa's character is sort of criticising him for not being big and strong in the first film to probably going on to be a despotic leader in the next film. The third film, that's definitely going to be happening based on the second book. Great arc there, acting, and Greg Fraser, again, I'm going to say, he is one of the greatest cinematographers working at the moment. The Batman, Rogue One, and then these two Dune movies. He is fantastic, and I've seen a great review of the film where they basically said, well, Greg Fraser should be one of the people on the poster. If a film is shot by them, that is a worthwhile thing to market the film on, because we had Roger Deakins. I don't know whether he's done anything in a little while, but I think Greg Fraser is now the best in the business. Hoyt van Hoytema was up there. Not really been as much of a fan of him as Greg Fraser. Greg Fraser is incredible. Hans Zimmer will win Best Soundtrack again at the Oscars. He did for the first film. He will win it again for this. There'll be nominations for all sorts. Denis Villeneuve will probably win Best Director, if not Best Film. I don't know if it'll win Best Film, but people say it's sort of the Lord of the Rings of our time, The Empire Strikes Back of our time. Absolutely. This is a film you need to see on the big screen. I mean, you can't anymore. Or you can, but you can watch this on digital now. I have done. Also, sort of side note, I haven't talked about Elvis Presley's fantastic performance in the film. That is Austin Butler, who plays Thade Rother Harkonnen, who's sort of a bold, all the Harkonnen sort of evil race of almost humanoid creatures. They're definitely the villains in this. There's no sort of moral debate over that. They are the villains against the House of Atreides and Paul and the Fremen. Certainly, he is an incredible villain. I feel like we had, with Thanos especially, and around then, a whole trend of villains who, you can really see where they're coming from, and sometimes you just want a villain who, he's evil, and not only is he just evil and for the hell of it, but he's still an interesting character despite clearly not being relatable in any way, and his performance is fantastic. The whole sort of 15-minute sequence on the Harkonnens' homeworld, which is shot in black and white, maybe my favourite sequence of the whole film, bar one scene later when Paul is walking somewhere. No spoilers, but he's walking somewhere. That's the best scene of the film. But there's a grand arena, and it's his birthday. It's Thade's birthday, and his reward is he gets some people to kill in the big arena. And yeah, that sequence is incredible. He's a fantastic villain. And been the few disappointing villains recently. Rami Malek in No Time to Die wasn't great. Issa Morales in Dead Reckoning, Mission Impossible wasn't. It was good, but not the best. But yeah, I think Austin Butler, I've noticed him now. I think this might be the first film I've seen him in. Being in this film, a lot of people are in this film. It's made all their careers if they weren't even in the first film. Florence Pugh is in it, short while, with Christopher Walken. She's much better. But yeah, this is a great film. 9 out of 10. It will be one of the best films of the year. It will win a lot of Oscars. Go see it. People say, Dune, boring. That's just sort of drivel. It's drivel. If you don't like films that make you question stuff, then don't watch it. And it's fine if you don't like it. But it's not boring then. It's just not your type of thing. This is not boring. It has so much to say. And Denis Villeneuve, one of the best sci-fi directors of all time, one of the best directors of all time, and certainly working today. Him and Christopher Nolan, this and Oppenheimer. You look at those and that's what films should be. They're both doing well. They'll both win a lot of awards. We need more films like this. So Dune Part 2 is a win. And I'll see you next time on whatever this channel is called nowadays.